Hello, this is On an Imagination with the Healing Garden. So I'm in the 12th, pretty sure I'm in the 12th. And I was writing in my journal and I shifted in the middle of journal writing and I can see I'm going to do my best to just give word to what I see. In unified theory, there is a concept that there was a force that came out of the Big Bang. And that force split into electromagnetism. And that split into weak and strong. And then later, gravity. I'm not sure if gravity stemmed off of weak electromagnetism or strength, or if it branched off prematurely from those three things. So the question in unified theory is, what is this force? What I see with the 12th of you is that force is love. Long ago, how many dimensions ago was that? Wow. God. It was 16 dimensions ago that I first said that love is not an emotion. That emotions ebb and flow. They come and they go. They're temporary. They pop, they spark, they're moot, they're there. But not love. Love was different. Love came in stable and then it grew and grew and grew. That's not an emotion. Love was a constant, whereas emotions were unfixed variables. That love doesn't go away, that no matter what happens, time, it doesn't matter, love is there. And identity is composed of love. That's something that I've been saying from day one, is as soon as I discovered identity and I got the self defined, I went, oh my God, this is just love. Identity is literally pure love. And the argument that I put forth from this was, identity is pure love. God is love. Identity is love. Therefore, we are God. That is one of the arguments that I put forth. And I'm studying every time I shift and I see it, I experience bias. Every shift, I experience bias. Not a bias of, I don't want it to be that. I want it to be this. The bias I feel is, oh, that can't be what it is. And then I go through honest filter and I use honest filter on that and annihilate it, which I'm doing right now. And I recognize fear. I recognize fear of insanity. I recognize fear of disbelief. I recognize fear of being believed. And those things all hinder scientific progression and growth and development, Because if you see, believe, want, desire, and you experience fear of what your peers will say, or fear of what the world will say, or fear of the perception of, then you won't say it. And therefore, you stunt the development and the growth of progress. So, what do you value, Anna? Where's your priorities? Science, progression, truth. Truth, science. Not people, not opinions, not modern day beliefs. Truth and science. Logic, but truth. That is what I value. Do you trust your skills to perceive it? Yes, I do. I have high trust. Do you care what the answer? I don't give a fuck what the answer is. I really don't. I have never given a shit what the end answer is. I don't care. I just want to know what it is. So my pursuit is the undefined X, and I don't give a shit what the undefined X is. I just want the truth. And I trust my intuition to read the situation accurately. So that's what I evaluate. I remind myself what my priority is, what I value, what my goal is, and what I want. And then I evaluate my faith and my trust in my intuition. And with priority and value for truth and trust in my intuition, love is the unified force, and it is the electromagnetic field, and it is the currency that does flow through each and every one of us, and it is the interconnecting factor, and it is the electromagnetic field. It is what all currency is run on. That the minute a person or a thing wants and desires, they are choosing to step into a currency that carries them. And that when we all choose to step into that currency, we are all officially choosing to step into a pool of love energy and love force. And because we are all being honest and transparent about love, there is no mask. It's honest face value. So that when I step forward and I show all of my cards on the table, there's no bluffing, there's no lying, there's no deception, there is no any of that in love. It is a force. And the difference between somebody who steps in and says, I want to do X because I love it. And so they step into the pool. They are choosing to connect to that pool. And they're just doing what they love because they love it. And because they're honest, they have the luxury of honest faced value. That is what love gives you. Love gives you honest face value, which is truth. And you can be trusted now because you are presenting honest face value because you're working out of love. Now, love is a force that attracts. And now you're going to have a whole lot of other people doing the exact same thing in the exact same pool in the exact same time. Because there's a pool here. It's a guild. It is a guild. That is what this is. It is a guild. That's what we are. It's a guild. And you choose to step into this guild or you don't. And the people who are in this guild are the people who say, I'm here because I love it. Therefore, I'm honest, face value, truth, trust. This, all of this is love. And that creates a force. There is no reason. Love is the reason. And that's something humans really have a hard time understanding. Love is the reason. There is no reason to love. It is void of logic. It is the only thing. Logic is birthed from love because love is the omega and the alpha. Therefore, logic comes from love. It doesn't need reason. It is the reason. It is the only emotion, the only ethic, the only resource that exists without needing any other prerequisites. It is the alpha and the omega. I hypothesize that the Big Bang is nothing but a large orgasm. Now, when you have this concoction and you've got other people in the guild all with that same thing, now you've got the law of reflection and they're all using synergy. I'm sorry, they're all using symmetry to mirror that ethic, that law of reflection. And now you have connection. They are using the force of love literally to connect. You desire Y. You were at a point of origin. You are now at X axis. You're trying to get to Y. You're trying to get to Y because you love. Love is the reason why you need X. So now you go to a guild to make a trade so you can get to what you love. You are making the trade because you love. You want to become someone better. Therefore, you go to school to become someone better because you love yourself. You want to go vacation because you love to travel. So you go do ABC to get XYZ so you can go do what you love. Love literally moves the entire economy. It moves everybody. Now, there's the people who are part of the guild. They're the people who want to be part of the guild, but don't know how. And then there are people who don't think they can have the guild, who think they aren't worthy of the guild. And then there are people who hate because they feel rejected from this guild. There are some people who think that that guild is fictitious. But when you have honest face value, those are the cards on the table. You can either choose to step in or not, but you don't get to step in until you decide to want. And all you have to do is choose. That is what you are really tapping into when you want and you choose and you learn and you solve and you do. You are actually tapping into the love currency that is the force. Oh, that force. Oh, okay, just give me a minute. Star Wars just took on a whole nother meaning for me, so just give me a minute. It is absolutely beautiful. There is a story behind the garden. There is a vast story behind the garden. There's the garden, and this is my honest face value. And then there is the truth and the story behind the garden. And I have been saying from day one that a certain someone is very much part of the garden from day one. I said, you're part of this. And I didn't understand until now how he is part of this. And the garden literally is my Taj Mahal for him. It was built to give him his dreams. And when I built it to give him his dreams, I found mine. And then I realized that I believe very strongly in the power of love. And I realized that if I planned this right, the garden would be the catalyst, pulsed off of love, where everyone would feel the ripple effect. And because I studied catalyst chain effect, I knew exactly where and how and precisely to set off a pulse based off of love that would literally send off a series of waves out of love so that everybody could feel this. And studying the electromagnetic wave of the field, how energy works, how physics works, when you set off a pulse like this, you can literally determine what kind of frequency to set off. I then studied a series of chain reactions with how they would interact with energy, with different types of energy. For instance, the Holocaust was a pulse, and we all felt that. Good God, did we all feel that one? The destruction of Alexandria in 380 CE was a pulse that was set off, and we are all still suffering from that pulse. Every single event and all of history is just a series of pulses. And Gandhi has one. Mother Teresa has one. Rwanda has one. And I started to put value to each and every one of these. And I noticed a pattern, because that's what I do. The pattern that I noticed was the ones that were love-based had a stronger pulse than the ones that were negative-based, regardless of the negativity, regardless of the hatred. 9/11. Was a pulse. Now, every one of these pulses did something. My God, she's so beautiful. Whenever a positive pulse went off, a positive pulse created a positive pulse. But you know what I noticed? Every negative pulse turned into a positive pulse. Every negative pulse bred a positive pulse. Every single one. Positive breeds positive, and negative breeds negative and positive. 9/11 is a perfect example of this. And I assigned value to each and every one of these pulses. I looked at duration, side effects, and I thought these were all accidental. Hitler did not think about the long-term sociological impact of how this would affect the entire world and humanity. He only thought about what he wanted, completely oblivious to the impact it would have long-term. And I realized that the reason why this is the case is because if I didn't know better, and let's just go off of what my intuition says, Mother Nature is self-preservation. She has self-preservation inside of her. So that every time a negative is shut off, all the people who are influenced by that negative turn positive. And the ones who don't turn negative, who later influence someone else to turn positive. It's like every one of us is moving like a white blood cell or a cancer cell. Every one of us. And we can choose to be a cancer cell or we can choose to be a white blood cell. And, well, I'm a white cell. I've chosen to be a white blood cell. And then there's cancer cells. And Hitler was a cancer cell. That's a great example. Bin Laden was a cancer cell. And the thing is, Mother Nature has the cure to cancer. She has us. And when you learn, what you are really doing is analyzing the cancer cells, calculating precisely what happened, and then you are using your white blood cell to counter the cancer cell. Somebody dies in New York on a bicycle, and there's this beautiful floral monument afterwards with a painted white bicycle. This is why I call it a garden. I had all of these horrible things happen to me, and I turned them into an integrated whole, and I planted my garden. Literally, I ended up with half an acre of garden, literally one plant for every bit of pain I experienced. It's called the transmutation of pain. If you have not done so, watch the Doctor Who episode with Vincent van Gogh. It's the end. When the Doctor takes Vincent into the future, into the Vincent van Gogh Museum, and they ask the curator what his opinion is of Van Gogh. And the curator says, well, he's the greatest artist, if not the greatest man who ever lived. He took his pain and transmuted it into something beautiful. He didn't drink himself into death and despair without creating this art. He did not harm others or seek to destroy others. He instead chose, in the height of his pain, to create something beautiful. And that is exactly what happens when you have a white blood cell that's been affected by a cancer cell that decides to turn it into something beautiful instead. Okay, this happened. Let's learn from it. What is the lesson to be learned from this? And a lot of people are focused on the hate. A lot of people are focused on the pain. A lot of people are focused on the horror and the gore. But the most beautiful thing that comes out of all of that, the only beautiful thing that comes out of any of that horrific hell, is knowledge enough to know what is valuable, to what matters. To walk away from all of that fucking garbage and then say, you know what? I know what matters. And hate and pain and horror and gore, they don't matter. They have zero value. You know what does matter? Education, better choices, helping others, teaching somebody else how to not make the same mistakes I did, teaching them how to make choices so they don't make the same mistakes I made. I was a sewer slut, and I was called a lot of different horrible things by my own father and brother. And I was garbage. I was used for breeding. I've been enslaved, and I've been thrown away. And while everybody else was using me literally to death, I had one person who decided instead to truly love me. And when he loved me, it was done so well, so deeply, and so much that he made me believe in love. And it created a desire to pay him back and to pay it forward. And I chose to love him back and pay him back so much that I built the garden on purpose to create a ripple effect that would pulse through our entire culture strong enough so that everybody could feel it. Because I noticed that for every positive, it leads to a synergy of positive. And then I looked at duration, and I looked at that in ratio to the need, the desire, and the suffering of everyone else. And then I looked at the quantity and the size of this single pulse. And I realized that this person A, who loved me, B, so much that B sends off, returns A, that it creates a pulse that then is felt by all. If the pulse is big enough. So I amassed all of my knowledge. Really, I just wanted to have a mind that would not hurt anyone ever again. So I wished for a healthy mind, the cure to mental illness, world peace. And the healing garden came to me. And it is literally the transmutation of trauma plus the love of an imp king to a goddess queen, plus the calculated formula of catalyst size 2 ripple effect. All balanced on a gamble that Mother Nature has a severe passion for self-preservation, which she does because karma, because for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And with the amount of horrible shit is in the world today, there needs to be an equally amount of really awesome shit that happens in the world today. Therefore, the healing garden is right on schedule. There is philosophy. There is story. There is the science. The science are all the rules that you have to follow to get there. The philosophy is the ethical evaluation of the how and the why. And the story is the how it's done, how it actually unfolds. Science is the rules. The philosophy measures the metric and the purpose. And the story is the actuality. So this is what I see at the 12th. This is exactly what I see at the 12th. And I don't know if it's right or wrong. It's just intuition right now. It's just pure intuition. It's what I feel and it's what I can see. And we will get to sit back and watch how it goes. Thank you. And may the kindest of words always find you.